Hey there, cats and kittens. Welcome to the grooviest live stream this side of the digital age, where we're diving deep into the dazzling world of swinging 60s cinema, a decade of revolution on screen. So grab your popcorn, got mine right here. Grab that popcorn, settle in, and let's take a trip back in time to an era of peace, love, and celluloid dreams. The 1960s wasn't just a decade, it was a cultural revolution, man. From the civil rights movement to the psychedelic revolution, it was a time of change and upheaval. And right at the heart of it all were the movies, baby. These flicks weren't just entertainment, they were reflections of the times, man. They captured the spirit of rebellion, the quest for freedom, and the beat of a generation. So join me on this journey as we explore the history, the vibes, and the impact of 10 flicks, 10 films that defined an era. It's going to be a gas, so you don't want to miss out. Let's go. Swinging 60s Cinema, a decade of revolution on screen. This is part one of this new series that I'm kicking off on this channel. In a similar vein to 70s film frenzy from last year, the 1970s is one of my absolute favorite decades in cinema and one of my favorite decades culturally, overall. And so I wanted to follow that up with a similar series, but this time we're going to turn the spotlight on about a decade prior, 10 years prior to the 1960s. So I've got 10 films sitting over here, or actually 9 films physically that I have in my library that I'm going to go over, and another film that I do not have physically. So I'm going to cover 10 films in this part one of this new series. I'm really excited about it. I absolutely love cinema from all decades of cinema. You may wonder, if you're new to this channel, hey, why is this channel called 20th and 21st Movies? What's the deal with that? Well, it has to do with loving films from all decades of cinema back in the 20th century, as well as films in our current day here in the 21st century. So as 20th century and 21st century, I just don't have century in the name, but it just has to deal with, the fact that we're dealing with films across all decades of cinema. And I am excited to be turning the spotlight on the 1960s tonight. Hope you're having a great Saturday. Hope all is well with you. And I definitely want to hear in the comments section what you think about these 10 films that I'm going to cover in this part one. Now, my plan right now is, of course, I'm doing part one tonight. I will plan to do a part two probably in the month of June, and then we'll see where it goes from there. I think for 70s Film Frenzy, I did like 4 parts. I did like part 1, part 2, and part 3, and then I did a special Criterion edition. So, I'm thinking maybe in July I might do a Criterion specific swinging 60s, but we'll see. I'll see, what the reception is to this beginning of this series, and we'll go from there. We'll just sort of take it easy and just evaluate things as they progress. But hope you are all doing well out there. We have an internet user. Hello, good to see you again. Good evening, everyone. Good evening to you as well. Just have a few people on here so far, but it is all good. Just so happy that you are able to join tonight in this almost middle of May. I mean, we are almost getting to the middle of the month of May and getting close to Memorial Day. So I'm going to cover 10 films in this particular live stream. It's probably going to go about an hour, just over an hour, and then we'll get on to Mother's Day here in the United States. We're celebrating Mother's Day tomorrow. So happy Mother's Day to all of the wonderful moms out there. God bless you all. And hope you're all doing well. So we also have, oh my goodness, one of our rock stars, Miss Mika. How are you doing tonight? Hope you're doing well. Hope you and Kira are doing great out there. Hello to you, and happy Mother's Day to your mother out there as well. But yeah, hope everybody is doing great. I am not going to waste any time. Of course, we have from across the pond, Mr. Adrian James. Hello. I'm doing well, Adrian. Hope you are doing well as well. Hope you're doing great. Hope everybody is doing well. So I've got my 10 films over here, or my 9 films on physical media, and I'm just going to go ahead and get started here so we can jump in and let's talk about the 1960s. Of course, this is a decade, of course, that is before my time. Obviously, was not around during this decade, but I just have an affinity for the 60s and 1950s, just going all the way back. I always love seeing just the history, and film and cinema is a great way to learn about history and learn about life, in different times. And so one of the ground rules that I set for this series when I did 70s Film Frenzy is I wanted to talk about films that were not just, films that came out in the 1970s, but films that were 70s films that were also about life in the 1970s. So I'm doing a similar thing here for Swingin' 60s Cinema. So these are films that came out in the 1960s, and they're about life in the decade of the 1960s. That is why I had to actually disqualify a very fine film from my list. I was originally going to include West Side Story in this live stream, but then I realized, you know what? West Side Story, the story does not take place in the 1960s. I think it takes place in the 1950s. So, I had to put it to the side and not include it in this live stream, but it's all good. Let's capture some more comments. Thanks, James. Thanks to you as well, Mika. Saying hello to Adrian. People saying hello to one another. People just saying hi to each other, which is awesome. But yeah, I have up here on the screen Swingin' 60s Cinema. Of course, the 1960s was a decade of revolution. Tremendous history in this decade. It is so rich with history, with tumult, with things going on from the civil rights movement to social revolution. There was the Vietnam War that was raging and going on. That was a huge, huge thing here, in terms of politically here in the United States. A lot of things going on in terms of some key people who were taken from us, in the sense of President John F. Kennedy in 1963. His presidency was a huge aspect of the early 1960s, and of course he was taken away from us in 1963. And then in 1968 you had Martin Luther King Jr., a leader of the civil rights movement, taken from us, as well as Robert F. Kennedy, who was at the time running for president. He was taken out as well. And just so much going on culturally, politically, socially, the war going on in Vietnam. And of course, you had a lot of stuff going on musically, with the Beatles doing their thing, Coming to America, the Ed Sullivan Show. And it was just a period of tremendous revolution and history that I've only just scratched the surface of it. But this is a bit of a collage of some of the notables from that time. Of course, President John F. Kennedy here. You have, the Fab Four, the Beatles, obviously just some amazing people. I think Mr. Jimi Hendrix is hanging out here in the top left corner here. Of course, up here you have Martin Luther King Jr., Marilyn Monroe. And then on the zero here, think this is Jimi Hendrix again. And then to the right over here, you have the man landing on the moon. John Kennedy set that vision in the early 1960s, and right before the decade ended in July of 1969, Neil Armstrong uttered those famous words, "One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." I almost forgot the quote there, but yeah, it was something to that effect, with man landing on the moon. And no, it was not faked. It was not staged. It was not filmed on a soundstage in Hollywood. It actually happened. But yeah, so this is the 60s, a decade of revolution. The fashion was a little bit different back in the 1960s, as you see these young ladies here in the attire at the time. So this is the decade that we are looking at. And there were some absolutely amazing films that came out in this decade. I'm going to talk about 10 of those films tonight. And then next month in June, I'm going to cover 10 more films. So I'm going to do a similar thing that I did for the 70s series. I have a playlist for that on the channel, so definitely check that out. But I'm looking forward to talking about 10 more films then. and just seeing where this series goes. So, what is the first movie that I'm going to talk about here? Let's go ahead and put it up here. It's a film that stars Dustin Hoffman, Anne Bancroft, and Catherine Ross. Has an absolutely amazing soundtrack. I mean, the music of the 60s just is an entity unto itself. Of course, we're talking about the 1967 classic film from Mike Nichols as the director. It is The Graduate. This stars Dustin Hoffman in just an incredible role. He's playing a young man who is very uncertain and concerned about his future. He is, he's about to go into, I think he's about to go into college, and he's just trying to figure out what he's going to do with his life. And one of the things, if you haven't seen this movie, it's going to become pretty clear to you very early on that Dustin Hoffman looks a little bit old to be playing, a kid coming out of high school or an early or a young college student. But you just sort of have to suspend that disbelief in this movie. But it's just an incredible film of this young man trying to find his way, who ends up getting seduced by Mrs. Robinson, played by Anne Bancroft. And even if you've never seen this film, you've probably heard the Simon and Garfunkel soundtrack to this movie, including the famous song Mrs. Robinson. And it is just a legendary soundtrack, and it plays throughout most of this film, and it is absolutely extraordinary. So this is my copy here of The Graduate from Criterion on Blu-ray. It's got a it was a 4K digital restoration when this came out. So this is one of those titles that you have to wonder, are we going to get a 4K upgrade of this? I would probably, if my guess would be probably yes. At some point in the near future, we might see an upgrade of this to 4K. But look at this. What a great addition. This looks fantastic on this Blu-ray disc. It is an absolutely amazing film. It comes in at 106 minutes. It's from 1967. It's a color film. And I'll read the back of this case here. It says, one of the most beloved American films of all time, The Graduate earned Mike Nichols a Best Director Oscar, brought the music of Simon and Garfunkel to a wider audience, and introduced the world to a young actor named Dustin Hoffman. Benjamin Braddock Hoffman has just finished college. Okay, he finished college. And is already lost in a sea of confusion and barely contain angst when he becomes sexually involved with a friend of his parents, the indomitable Mrs. Robinson, played by an incredible performance from Anne Bancroft. She is amazing in this film. She's playing a cougar in this film, and she is phenomenal in this movie. Before turning his attention to her college-age daughter, Catherine Ross. Visually imaginative and impeccably acted with a clever and endlessly quotable script by Buck Henry, based on a novel by Charles Webb, The Graduate has a kind of cultural impact that comes along only once in a generation. Amazing film. One of the best films that came out in the 1960s is this film from Mike Nichols, starring a young Dustin Hoffman. And it is extraordinary. It is The Graduate. Yeah, let me know in the comments, what do you think about The Graduate? But as I look here, of course, you see the album by Simon and Garfunkel. I'll just show you on this phone here. Check out these songs. You have The Sound of Silence. This is The Sound of Silence, which plays, I think, at the beginning of the film. You have this song called Scarborough Fair that has like this almost medieval feel to it. Mrs. Robinson, the famous tune that everybody has heard, even people who have never seen this movie, you've heard the song, Mrs. Robinson, and just many other amazing tracks on this Simon and Garfunkel soundtrack. But yeah, let me know, what do you think about The Graduate? Mika loves the pick. Yes, it's a great movie. I need to rewatch it. It's been a number of years since I have seen it, but it is an incredible film. Say both The Graduate and Midnight Cowboy really launched Hoffman into the stratosphere. Indeed. Yes, just both amazing films. But yeah, so that is The Graduate. I get a sip of my spearmint tea this evening here. So I got a spot of spearmint tea, and Mika says yes, we could do with a rewatch as well. Yeah, I've got so many things that I'm watching. So what am I watching these days? Well, I am. I started watching the series Fallout, which is on Amazon Prime. And what really got me into this series is the fact that I played the video games from Bethesda Game Studios, which is now owned by Microsoft. But I played these games years ago, Fallout 3 and Fallout 4, and they are absolutely phenomenal, role playing games. And so I love the story. I'm in that universe. So when I heard that, oh, they're doing a TV series on it, I was definitely intrigued. And so I saw the first episode a few weeks ago, and I need to see the second episode this weekend. I want to check it out. And I've heard great things about it. I think IGN gave it an amazing review. So I'm definitely looking forward to finishing out that season. Yes, tea. That's right. Yes, my spearmint tea this evening. See, hi, James. Great pick. The Graduate is a classic, epic ending. Yes, just an incredible movie. It is a movie that's very much a movie about its time, and just an incredible just performance from Dustin Hoffman and Bancroft. I mean, just phenomenal. And that soundtrack, just a great film all the way around. So, yes, we love The Graduate. All right. That's a good start. Now, what's the second film that we are going to cover here? Now, this is a film that it was directed by Dennis Hopper, and it stars Peter Fonda, Dennis Hopper, and Jack Nicholson. So you probably already know which film I'm talking about. My copy of this is a Blu-ray in this America Lost and Found set. So this is the BBS story where you have all these fine films, but one of the films that's in here, along with Head and Five Easy Pieces, Drive, He Said, The Last Picture Show, The King of Marvin Gardens, and American Lost and Found. Yeah. Well, sorry, not the King of Marvin Gardens. Along with those amazing films is this one right here, Easy Rider. This 1969 film, it's basically a road movie, and it tells the story of two bikers. They're traveling, through the American Southwest and the South, and they are looking to achieve freedom and escape from conventional society, as many people can kind of relate to that idea. But yeah, this is the Easy Rider. This is a film by Dennis Hopper from 1969. It's really awesome seeing, it's been a long time since I've seen this film, but it's awesome seeing like a young Jack Nicholson, a young, Peter Fonda, Dennis Hopper, seeing them, in a film like this, and seeing a slice of America that, of course, was a time that no longer is, right? Seeing people out on the on the American road, Route 66 style, just traveling across country. I love seeing films of that type. It says here on the back, this is the definitive counterculture blockbuster. Former clean-cut teen star Dennis Hopper's down and dirty directorial debut, Easy Rider, heralded the arrival of a new voice in film, one pitched angrily against the mainstream. After Easy Rider's cross-country journey with its radical new wave style editing, outsider rock soundtrack, and revelatory performance by a young Jack Nicholson, an explosive ending, the American road trip would never be the same. I love a nice road trip movie, and Easy Rider is a good example of that. I think that this film, I want to say this film has come out on 4K. I have not upgraded yet, but I think that this might be available on 4K. Definitely check me in the comment section. But yeah, that's Easy Rider. I happen to have it in this American Lost and Found set, BBS story, which, by the way, for those looking for Criterion Collection recommendations for what's soon to be, we hope, fingers crossed, a July sale at Barnes & Noble, this is a good set to consider picking up. If you're wondering, well, could these films be upgraded to 4K? Anything's possible, but I wouldn't wait on it. I would go ahead and pick this up. This is a nice set from Criterion, America Lost and Found. Fantastic stuff. So let's see here. Yes. Mika says great performance from Peter Fonda. 100%. 100%. And one of Hopper's first films was Rebel Without a Cause, about 14 years before Easy Rider. Yes, I think I remember. Yes, the one with James Dean. Yes, 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 indeed. Would like to get Easy Rider on Criterion. And actually, I'm trying to think. I know Five Easy Pieces got a separate release. I don't think Easy Rider has, but yeah, I think they did a separate release for Five Easy Pieces on Blu-ray. But I don't think they have yet for Easy Rider. But yeah, so that's Easy Rider, the film from 1969. Apparently, the little known fact about that film that before they shot the film, they bought those bikes from like a police auction, I think, from the police, and then they modified those bikes for the movie's needs. So apparently, they were able to repurpose some bikes that they got from a police auction. So hey, there you go. So that's Easy Rider. Now, this next film is a film that is near and dear to my heart because this 1960s movie inspired one of my absolute favorite editions in Criterion, which might actually be my very first edition in Criterion, which was 1981's, the 1981 film from Brian De Palma starring John Travolta, Nancy Allen, and John Lithgow, Blowout. So I absolutely love that film. It's one of my all-time favorite editions in Criterion, even to this day. And I think it's my very first Criterion. I bought it from Costco, probably over 10 years ago. And, when Costco was still selling, a small selection of Criterions, always at 50% off, they no longer do. But back then they did. And I just saw the cover to Blowout and I thought, wow, this looks like an interesting movie. And, that began my collecting of Criterion. So the movie that inspired Blowout, though, was a film that came out about 15 years prior. It's a film from Michelangelo Antonioni, and it is a film that stars David Hemmings with a similar storyline, and it's called Blowup. So this is the 1966 film from director Michelangelo Antonioni, starring David Hemmings and the wonderful Vanessa Redgrave. So this film is set in London, and it basically follows a fashion photographer who believes that he has unwittingly captured a murder on film. So this film inspired the 1981 film Blowout. And basically in Blowout, John Travolta's character is a movie sound man, and he basically he's going out and he's recording new sounds for his B movies that he makes, and he ends up catching the audio of a murder. So this is sort of a different take. It was inspired by this film, which is about a photographer who's out in the park who thinks that he's taking a picture of a murder. So very, very interesting stuff. David Hemmings is great in this, but this is a nice digipack edition from Criterion of this pretty phenomenal film from 1966. I'll show you the inside of it. Check it out. Blowout or blow up. So let me show you this here. Blow Up from 1966. There are the people in the park there, as you can see. And it comes with a very nice, fairly thick booklet here, which is nice. But this is a very nice edition. It is a Blu-ray that was based off of a new 4K, at the time, a new 4K digital transfer. So this is one of those titles that, you might think, could it potentially be an upcoming 4K upgrade from Criterion? That possibility exists. But this is an edition that if you really want this film, I wouldn't wait on an upgrade that may or may not ever happen. Just go ahead and pick this up. It is so good. It is Blow Up from the Criterion collection. Let's see. We have here, internet user says, Easy Rider also got a separate release from Criterion. Okay, I'll have to check that out. I only had the Blob on Criterion. Okay. The Blob. Okay. That's the only Criterion edition that you have, Adrian? I don't have that one yet. RoboCop was DVD, was my first Criterion. Okay. And then haven't seen Blow Up. Yep. It's definitely a good movie. Definitely a good film. I thought Blow Up was fine. Antonioni films aren't exactly my thing. Maybe I'll need to rewatch it at some point. Yeah, he has this Alienation trilogy that includes films like La Notte and La Ventura. That definitely is not for everybody, but I can definitely, appreciate those films. So let me go back to what I was showing here. Of course, this is The Graduate. We talked about Easy Rider. What a phenomenal film. You have here Peter Fonda. You have, these guys here on these bikes here, the three of them here, and of course the movie poster. Dennis Hopper directing this film from 1969. And now we're talking about Blow Up from 1966, starring David Hemmings. So good. The back of the Criterion case says in 1966, Michelangelo Antonioni transplanted his existentialist Inu to the streets of swinging London for this international sensation, the Italian filmmaker's first English language feature. A countercultural masterpiece about the act of seeing and the art of image making, Blow Up takes the form of a psychological mystery starring David Hemmings as a fashion photographer who unknowingly captures a death on film after following two lovers in a park. Antonioni's meticulous aesthetic control and intoxicating color palette breathe life into every frame, and the jazzy sounds of Herbie Hancock, a beautifully evasive performance by Vanessa Redgrave, and a cameo by the Yardbirds make the film a transporting time capsule from a bygone era. Blow Up is a seductive immersion into creative passion and a brilliant film by one of cinema's greatest artists. So yeah, this is a tremendous film, and I think that would be a really nice double feature to watch that and then watch Blowout and just sort of see the similarities between the two amazing, amazing films. Let's see here. We have an internet user saying, I did like Antonioni's film, The Passenger, starring Jack Nicholson. I have not seen that one, but I will definitely have to keep that one in mind. All right. So let's see. We talked about Blow Up. And of course, the Yardbirds, it mentions there that the Yardbirds that featuring Jeff Beck and Jimmy Page appear in a club scene performing Stroll On. So that's great to know. And it's also great to know that we have Mr. Kenny Levels in the house. James, what's up, man? Man, I tell you what, it's Saturday night. Mother's Day is tomorrow. So I am excited about that. I had a chance to see my mother earlier today. Going to celebrate with my wife tomorrow. Hope that you and Michelle are doing well. And happy Mother's Day to your wife, Michelle. Hope that she's doing well. We have Adrian. Hello there, Ken. How's it going? People saying hey to one another. Going to add this one to my watch list. Oh, good. Blow Up. Yes, it's definitely a good one. I mean, if you're looking for a good title for the Criterion sale, this is a good one right here. Good one right here. Definitely recommended. If you like Blowout, definitely consider getting Blow Up. They're a great. There's a great connection between those two films. So, what is next here on this swinging 60s cinema? We've talked about 3 films. We got 3 films down, and we got another one to go here. And let's see here, another one to go here. Which one are we going to go to? We're going to go to a film that someone has already mentioned. Someone has already kind of given a signal of another film that Dustin Hoffman that really launched his career. And you already mentioned it. I forgot who, but someone already mentioned Midnight Cowboy here from 1969. This stars, of course, Dustin Hoffman and Jon Voight in this incredible movie. This is a film that won Best Picture. It has the distinction of being the very first X-rated film to win Best Picture. That's Midnight Cowboy from 1969. So it got an X rating, or I guess today it would be an NC-17, or I'm not sure what the equivalent is. But yeah, this film is Midnight Cowboy, and I have it from the Criterion Collection in this wonderful edition here. Wonderful edition. I love. It's been a few years since I've seen it, but this is a really good one. Midnight Cowboy, new 4K digital restoration, new when it came out. See, this is one of those. Criterion has a lot of of these 4K restorations that they have on Blu-ray, and you're always thinking, okay, is this one going to get upgraded? You just don't know, right? Which is why my suggestion, I'm sort of evolving in my thinking. I'm really at a point to just tell people that yes, there's a possibility it could get an upgrade, but I wouldn't wait on that. Just enjoy the movie. If you want it, if you want the film, just go ahead and get it and enjoy the film. It could get an upgrade to 4K, or it may never get one. You never know. So, but this is Midnight Cowboy. Fantastic film. Check out the inside of the case here. Just absolutely wonderful. And, basically this film deals with, a friendship between a naive male prostitute and a sickly con man as they navigate life in urban America, in New York City. So, of course, the male prostitute is John Voight's character, and the sickly man is Dustin Hoffman. So, just a very, very very interesting film. One of the British New Wave's most versatile directors, John Schlesinger, came to New York in the late 1960s to make Midnight Cowboy a picturesque story of friendship that captured a city in crisis and sparked a new era of Hollywood movies. John Voight delivers a career-making performance as Joe Buck, a wide-eyed hustler from Texas, hoping to score big with wealthy city women. He finds a companion in Enrico Ratso Rizzo, an ailing swindler with a bum leg and a quixotic fantasy of escaping to Florida, played by Dustin Hoffman, in a radical departure from his breakthrough in The Graduate. So this film came out 2 years before The Graduate. A critical and commercial success despite controversy over what the MPAA, Motion Picture Association of America, termed its homosexual frame of reference. Midnight Cowboy became the first X-rated film to receive the Best Picture Oscar, and decades on, its influence still reverberates through cinema. All right. So this is 113 minutes from 1969. It's a new 4K digital restoration on this disc. Very nice looking disc. Spine number 925 in the Criterion collection, and it's definitely recommended. All right, Mr. Kenny saying, thank you, James. Happy Mother's Day to your wife as well. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Still need to watch Blowup. Love Blowout. Yes, Blowout. You know what? If somebody asked me right now, James, what is your absolute favorite edition from Criterion? To this day, I would say Blowout. Blowout is my absolute favorite edition from Criterion, single edition movie. And Blowup is a good one to watch because it's the film that inspired it. So this is one I've wanted to see. Kira has seen it. Which one are you talking about? Midnight Cowboy, Amika? Let's see. I love Schlesinger. Day of the Locust recently was released by Arrow Video. I need Midnight Cowboy, though. Okay. Oh my goodness. Let's see. John Voight turning into a reactionary. In my opinion, we still got his tea with Midnight Cowboy. Okay. I really like Midnight Cowboy. I'm currently thinking of Voight and Hoffman running on the beach as shown in the film. Yes. Have you seen the new Planet of the Apes movie yet? Great question. I have not seen it yet. I have heard good things about it. I've heard that the story is really good, and one thing that's really jumped out in the reviews that I have seen is that everybody seems to be impressed by the motion capture or the whatever they call it, bringing the apes to life with the human actors, and how realistic the apes are portrayed in this film. So I think people are very impressed with the technology that is sort of taking that step forward and making it even more realistic. And people really seem to like this story. I am not a huge Planet of the Apes series, fan. I've seen the original one with Charlton Heston, and I like the overall story and premise, but I'm not a huge Apes franchise person. So this is a movie that I may or may not check out in the theaters, but I hear that it's very good. So if you are a fan of the Ape series, you like everything, having to do with the Planet of the Apes and Caesar and all that good stuff, then it sounds like this is definitely one that you want to see in the theaters. So, but no, I have not seen it yet. but I've heard good things about it. Good things about the apes. But yeah, so this is Swinging 60s Cinema Part 1. This is Midnight Cowboy from 1969. Yes, such a good movie. Such a good movie. All right. Now, I've got a couple of films starring this legendary actor. He's one of the greatest actors of all time. He recently passed away a couple of years ago. And this is one of those like just absolute legendary actors who has such incredible presence on screen. When he's on screen, you just can't help but notice that Sidney Poitier's on the screen. And this is a film that he stars in that is one of his legendary performances of many. And this is Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. Now, this is the film I do not have on physical media. But this is a film that is, of course, famous in its portrayal of an interracial relationship on screen, and leading to an interracial marriage, which at the time that it came out nearly 60 years ago was this this big thing. It's kind of hard to imagine 60 years later people don't really think much about that kind of thing. But back when this came out, this was really something else, breaking new ground, and that's part of the reason why I like watching films from different eras, like from the 1960s or the 1970s or the 1950s, to just get a sense of, what was life like back then? How did people think? How did people see the world? What were some of the issues that people grappled with back then that we may not think much of today? So it just kind of opens up my eyes to that kind of thing. And this is definitely a film that opens one's eyes, opens one's eyes up. So this is a film directed by Stanley Kramer. Of course, it stars Spencer Tracy, Sidney Poitier, and the wonderful Katharine Hepburn. Katharine Hepburn is one of the greatest actresses of all time, of course, and she stars along with Spencer Tracy in this film. I believe this film, if I'm thinking correctly, I think this film was Spencer Tracy's last performance. In fact, he passed away, I think, just a few weeks after this film came out, or after either the film came out or a few weeks after the film was shot. But yeah, this is Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, 1967. It is a film that I will, since I do not have this on physical media, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to go to the wonderful IMDb. We're going to check out IMDb, Internet Movie Database, because I think there's a law that requires, if you're on a live stream, you have to go to IMDb at least once. I think some federal law or something passed on that. Is that true? I don't know. Let's see. Guess who's? Good night. Almost misspelled that, but hey, it comes up anyway. Guess Who's Coming to Dinner? All right. 1967, approved, 1 hour and 48 minutes. This legendary film starring Sidney Poitier, Catherine Houghton, Spencer Tracy, Katharine Hepburn, Sidney Kramer picture. Let's take a look at this trailer real quickly.
Award winner Spencer Tracy, Academy Award winner Sidney Poitier, Academy Award winner Katharine Hepburn. Introducing Katherine Houghton. 3 Academy Award winners and a bright young newcomer combine their talents in a love story of today.
I haven't even told you his name. Mom, it's John Wade Prentice. Isn't that a lovely name?
John Wade.
Joanna Prentice I'll be.
What the hell is going on here? I love your daughter. There is nothing I wouldn't do to try to keep her as happy as she was the day I met her. But it seems to me, without your approval, we will make no sense at all. That is why I'm asking for the clearest possible statement of what your attitude is going to be.
I appreciate that, Doctor. It's almost in the form of an older model.
Not quite, Mr. Drayton. All you have to say is goodbye.
Do you mean if we've been to bed together?
Wow. So, yeah. So a couple's attitudes are challenged when their daughter introduces them to her African American fiance. So just a legendary film. It deals with what was at the time a groundbreaking thing. Because at the time that this film came out, folks, and this may be kind of hard to relate to, but when this film came out in 1967, there were some states in the United States where it was illegal to marry outside of your race, where it was I guess called miscegenation was illegal, so to speak. So yeah, it's kind of hard to imagine that in today's world, but back then in 1967, it was illegal in certain states. So let's see here. What do we have here? First, let's see some comments. First Planet of the Apes was so good. Yes, absolutely. It's one of those legendary films that I recommend anyone to see. So good. And I don't want to say anything else about it because I don't want to spoil anything, but it's definitely one you want to see from beginning to the end and just let it wash over you. Have you seen Challengers? I have not seen Challengers. I love Zendaya in most films I've seen her in. She is just so good. I have not seen Challengers yet, but I'm definitely looking forward to checking it out. I don't think I'll see it in the theater, but I will probably pick it up on physical media when it comes out. I really haven't read much of any reviews on it, but if y'all have seen it, let me know what you think in the comment section. Have you seen Challengers? And if so, do you recommend checking it out? Let's see. Have to see Challengers, heard great things. Okay, well, that's good to know. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing it. I'm just not sure if I'm going to see it in the theater. Guess Who's Coming to Dinner was very controversial for the time. Sidney, great actor, broke a lot of barriers, 100%. And Sidney Poitier was just an actor that was so powerful on screen. And I just absolutely... there's not a performance I've seen of Sidney Poitier that is anything less than extraordinary. I mean, he is just one of the all-time greats. And we only recently lost him just a couple of years ago in 2022. And he was in his mid to late 90s. So along with his longtime friend, Harry Belafonte, who recently passed away just a couple of years ago in his late 90s. So let's see, a double feature podcast. Amika, I've seen it a few times, and yes, it is quite good. Maybe Luca's best. Moving, almost a religious experience. I wouldn't miss it in the theaters. Cool. I've heard of Who's Coming to Dinner, but I haven't yet to see it. Criterion, we need it in the collection, please. Yeah, you never know. You never know. That would be a great one to add. Definitely have to check it out. It sounds like an experience. And see, Ken, great film. Gonna snatch that Columbia Classics Volume 4, decent price right now. Yes. Yeah, that is definitely, I definitely need, decent price. I need to go on Amazon and check that out. That's a good tip. Thank you, Ken. I may have to check that out. See, love Katharine Hepburn. Yes, me too. She is just one of the greatest. Summertime from Criterion. Tim Talks Talkies, one of his favorite films. Definitely recommend checking that film out with her in it. She's amazing. You see, Ken, thanks for the heads up. Those big box sets. Yeah. I'm gonna have to go check out, Amazon when I get off to here and see if I want to go ahead and order that. Let's see. Some still consider mixed race couples to be taboo. I saw Spike Lee's Jungle Fever as a kid, and it really shook me. Yeah, and that's one of the great things about cinema is that it's a vehicle that, it can be just purely entertainment, but I really like films that not only entertain me, but also deal with issues like this as well. To me, that is really, really groovy when a film can do that. So I really can appreciate that. So that is Guess Who's Coming to Dinner? One of the great films from the 1960s. One of the great actors from the 1960s, Sidney Poitier, along with two other legendary actors, Spencer Tracy in his last film role, and Miss Katharine Hepburn, the legendary Katharine Hepburn, all star in this amazing film. All right, since we're talking about Sidney Poitier, let's continue with this wonderful gentleman as he also starred in another legendary film from the 1960s that I'm excited to talk about. And it is a film that starred him and Rod Steiger. It inspired a television series starring, I think, Carol O'Connor and I forgot the name of the other gentleman, but it is In the Heat of the Night, which has a wonderful, wonderful soundtrack to it, wonderful, song that goes along with it. But yeah, In the Heat of the Night. This here is a film that stars Sidney Poitier here um, in this wonderful film. That is just one of the all-time legendary films from the 1960s. You see, Poitier's character in Mr. Tibbs in a very kind of tight situation, dealing with basically, racial prejudice in the South, as he is part of an investigation. He's a police officer um, or a detective coming in from a different part of the state or something. But just an amazing film. Let me remove this here. I happen to have this on Criterion Blu-ray, and I also picked up the Kino Lorber 4K recently. And what I love about this is I feel like I've got like a complete definitive edition, so to speak, when I put these two together, because I have the Criterion edition with all of this special features and everything here. But then I also have this 4K from Kino, which has, of course, the film on 4K, but also has the two follow-up films. So this has the sequel from 1970, They Call Me Mr. Tibbs, the sequel to In the Heat of the Night. And then you also have in 1971, The Organization. So this has 3 movies in this edition, as well as adding 2 audio commentaries and some other special features. So when you combine these two together, you have a definitive, all-inclusive, so to speak, comprehensive version of In the Heat of the Night. So I will read the back of the case here. Passing through the backwoods town of Sparta, Mississippi, Philadelphia detective Virgil Tibbs, Sidney Poitier, becomes embroiled in a murder case. He forms an uneasy alliance with the bigoted police chief Rod Steiger, who faces mounting pressure from Sparta's hostile citizens to catch the killer and run the African-American interloper out of town. Director Norman Jewison splices incisive social commentary into this thrilling police procedural with the help of Haskell Wexler's vivid cinematography. Quincy Jones's eclectic score and 2 indelible lead performances, a career-defining display of seething indignation and moral authority from Poitier, and an Oscar-winning masterclass in method acting from Rod Steiger. Winner of 5 Academy Awards, including for Best Picture, In the Heat of the Night is one of the most enduring Hollywood films of the civil rights era. So glad to have this Criterion edition here. This is just, this is one of those films that, I love films, again, that entertain, but I also love films that have something to say. And this is a film that has something to say, social commentary, it makes you think. And so I can definitely appreciate that. So that's In the Heat of the Night. They Call Me Mr. Tibbs. Let's see here. Let's go back to the comments. We got some wonderful comments coming here. Let's see the comments here. Let's see. Mika saying, one of my faves from Hepburn on Golden Pond. Yes, I have not seen that film all the way through. I need to check it out. Film is so powerful that way, and sharing various stories outside your own. That really is true. I mean, it's a powerful medium to educate, entertain, inspire, bring out emotions. It's a very powerful medium. Loved In the Heat of the Night. I remember that slap in the film was controversial with a black man slapping a white man. Yes, that was something else, at the time, and Sidney Poitier was right there in the midst of it, doing it. They call me Mr. Tibbs. They call me Mr. Tibbs. Yes. I shouldn't try to imitate Sidney Poitier. I can't. He's like way up here. You're making me want to do a Sidney Poitier deep dive. Might have to watch In the Heat of the Night tonight. Yes, watch that. Watch Lilies of the Field. Wait a minute. Wait, not Lilies of the. Gosh, I'm getting my titles mixed up. I'll have to look it up. But yeah, just his filmography is so impressive. In the Heat of the Night is a really good one for sure to check out, as well as Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, and really any film that he starred in. Let's see. All right, 100%. Agreeing with Mika here. James, I bought this years ago, but still haven't watched it. I'm embarrassed. Don't be embarrassed. I've watched things. I've bought things years ago. I still haven't watched. I think we all have a bit of a backlog, So I definitely join you in that. So do not be embarrassed. Just pull out the film and watch it and enjoy it. Let's see. Which edition do you recommend? I recommend. Well, I mean, it's kind of hard to say. What I would say is whichever edition you want, just get it and enjoy this film is the best way I can put it. It is a film you definitely want to see. So you cannot go wrong with either edition. Just get it. If you happen to have, if you happen to have this Criterion edition, you can upgrade to 4K and have those additional features, the commentary. It's just one of those films that is so powerful from a social commentary standpoint that I just want to have those features and hear the commentaries and just hear everything about this film. Let's see, that would be a great deep dive. Yeah, I think you're talking about In the Heat of the Night, perhaps. I watched A Raisin. Yes, that's it. That's the one I was thinking about. A Raisin in the Sun. That's on Criterion. That's another really good addition. Another Poitier recommendation is Raisin in the Sun. That's right. Lilies of the Field. Yeah, I guess, yes, he was in a film called Lilies of the Field as well, but I was thinking of Raisin in the Sun. But yeah. Cody, that's great. Great film. Yes. So yeah, Mr. Sidney Poitier, just one of the all-time great actors. And he's legendary forever. Hearing some noise in the background there. All right, so we've gone through 6 films, and now we're about to cover a film from the 1960s that is from my favorite all-time director. So this is, Alfred Hitchcock, one of his all-time most famous films. This is a film that people have some familiarity with, even if they've never seen this film. They're familiar with certain aspects of this movie. It's a film that is legendary, stars Anthony Perkins as Norman Bates. It is none other than Psycho from 1960. So this is the 7th film I'm going to cover. So I got 3 more to go after this. So this is Psycho from 1960, starring Anthony Perkins. And of course, we have here Janet Leigh as Marion Crane. So you'll see Anthony Perkins here as Norman Bates. He's outside the office of the Bates Motel. And you have Janet Leigh here, who is Marion Crane, who has just come from Phoenix, Arizona. She's been on the road and she wants to just stop at the hotel and just get some rest for the night. And she is speaking to Mr. Bates here about the room that she is reserving for the evening. So really nothing more to it than that, right? So yeah, so this is the film from 1960 from Alfred Hitchcock. Now, I happen to have this film on. Now, of course, Anthony Perkins. You have Vera Miles in this film. You have John Gavin. You have Martin Balsam in this film. I love his role in this movie. He plays like the detective. And there's a wonderful scene in this movie with Martin Balsam and Anthony Perkins that is so, so powerful. I just absolutely love it. So you got to love that scene in this movie. Hold on for a quick second. All right, that was my son just saying hello to me real quickly. So yeah. So anyway, so this is Psycho from 1960. So I happen to have this on physical media as part of this wonderful Alfred Hitchcock Classics Collection set. Now, I have absolutely loved these Hitchcock 4K sets. I think they are just tremendous releases. And this is the very first one that came out. And this one here is a hard one to follow up on because this one has the heavy hitters. I mean, it's got Psycho, Rear Window, Vertigo, The Birds. I mean, the only thing that could just take this to the top would be if somehow North by Northwest were included in here. But of course, I think that's getting a separate 4K release. Of course, that's what is that? That's not Universal. It's a different. Hitchcock's films are owned by different studios, so it's kind of hard to put them all together. But yeah, so this is the Universal, one of the Universal sets, and it's absolutely phenomenal. Psycho is part of this wonderful set. You have the man here, the legend. He's no myth. He's Alfred Hitchcock. You have Psycho here. Psycho. This is one of those films, folks, that I don't believe any film is a perfect film, but there's a small handful of films that I put in that category of being as close to perfection as you can get. And to me, Psycho is one of those films in terms of the way that film was shot, the way it was edited, the acting, the pacing. There's everything about that movie works for me in terms of there's not one scene or part of that film that I can think of that, well, they could cut that out. And they could, I can't think of anything different I would do with that movie. It is just one of the most brilliantly constructed films of all time. And that shower scene, it has been studied in film schools for years and years and years. And it's just an absolutely extraordinary film that I absolutely love and can watch over and over and over again. Let's see. Okay, Mika likes Psycho, one of my faves. Yes, it's so good. I love the opening of the film. I love how it opens with Janet Leigh's character, Marion Crane. She's working at this loan place or whatever, and at this office, and she gets this money. She gets on the road. Well, it actually opens up with her and her boyfriend, and then she goes to work, and she's, getting into a situation where she is compromising her values, or what we think are her values, to make a decision to take some money. And she goes on the road, and then eventually it leads, to the Bates Motel. And it's just so interesting how all that's paced. Her encounters with the police officer and buying a car, and just every step along the way, you're just seeing the brilliance of a director and how he is laying out the story, showing you this, showing you that, and just taking you on this journey all the way through. It is just one of the most brilliantly constructed films I've ever seen. Hitchcock really is one of the greatest, to be honest. Challengers definitely nods to Strangers on a Train. Okay. He really is. She running with that cash, A Fugitive. Yes. Love the cinematography in this film. Oh, yes. It's just everything about Psycho is good. And, I am not completely opposed to remakes, but that shot-by-shot remake that starred Vince Vaughn and I think Anne Heche. Of course, R.I.P. to Anne Heche, but Vince Vaughn from like 20 years ago, that remake was so unnecessary. There was no need to do that. It was totally unnecessary. I'm not completely opposed to remakes like the Carrie remake starring Chloe Grace Moretz and Julianne Moore, I think. I thought it was fine. I mean, it doesn't compare to the original, but I thought it was a fine remake. But the remake of Psycho, skip, double skip, triple skip. James, I bought the Arrow Psycho set, but still haven't got to the sequels. Yeah, that's another thing. I definitely, public service announcement. Psycho is one of the greatest films of all time. And I'll tell you what, my recommendation, if you enjoyed the film Psycho watch Psycho, then watch it again. And then there was a great TV series on, I think, AMC called Bates Motel that had 5 seasons that starred Freddie Highmore and Vera Farmiga that I thought was absolutely fantastic, because what that series does is it takes you back a few years before the events of the movie Psycho and shows you a younger Norman Bates, who is played in this TV series by Freddie Highmore, and the mother who Vera Farmiga is playing. And it just shows you like their life before they got to the Bates Motel, and kind of what led this young man to the man that we see in the movie Psycho. I definitely recommend checking out Bates Motel. It is absolutely fantastic television. It's 5 seasons, and I just really like what they do with that source material. They go in some slightly different directions, so they sort of subvert your expectations a little bit, and I appreciate that. So definitely check out Bates Motel. And then on the Psycho sequels, I will just say this: some of the best sequels you'll ever see. I absolutely love the Psycho sequels, Psycho 2, Psycho 3, and 4. Definitely check those out when you get a chance, and glad that you have that set, Traveling Man. So yeah, I bought that box set too, only seen Vertigo on 4K and loved it. Some scenes are so luscious. Yes. This set is phenomenal. I mean, this set, Psycho looks amazing. All of these movies look great. The Birds is great. Vertigo looks great. Rear Window looks great. I mean, this is like the crown jewel, man. I mean, it's hard to outdo this. I know that some of the future releases, other sets of these Alfred Hitchcock has not been up to that same level. But yeah, these are all fantastic. Vertigo is one of the all-time great Hitchcock films. The Birds is amazing. Rear Window with James Stewart, the always wonderful James Stewart, amazing. James Stewart's also in Vertigo. Just amazing. Hitchcock was the greatest. He was the GOAT, man. He was the GOAT. Let's see here. Let me hide that and go here. North by Northwest is with Warner Brothers, my personal favorite Hitchcock film. That's another good one. That's another good one right there. I mean, starring Cary Grant. Cary Grant, Hitchcock did great work with both Cary Grant and Mr. Jimmy Stewart. Yes, as near to perfection is right on Psycho. Yes. Recently heard that Saul Bass, the artist responsible for the famous title sequences, is responsible for the idea of framing and editing the shower scene in Psycho. Oh. I did not know that. Okay. She steals that money. Yeah. Doesn't she work at a bank? Yeah. And I just love the opening. I love the setup of the movie. And there's some wonderful history about Psycho in terms of how this impacted audiences back in 1960 when this came out. It was mind-blowing. It's just one of those cinematic experiences that if you happen to be on this, if you happen to catch us on a replay, and maybe if you actually saw Psycho when it came out in 1960, drop a comment and let me know what your impressions were. Wow, that's awesome, Brown Bunny. So yes, she took the money and ran. Double feature, or Mika, can't blame her with that. Oh, boyfriend pushing her to do it. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I love the scenes with the boyfriend and how he came along during the story as well, with Vera Miles and John Gavin, was it? Yeah, just great stuff. Good stuff all the way around. Great movie. Love what they did with the TV show Bates Motel. Love the backstory of Norman. Was so cool to see, as Norma was totally different than I envisioned her. Yeah, Vera Farmiga playing Norma Bates. She was so good. I mean, she was amazing. Freddie Highmore was amazing. It was just a beautiful fleshing out of the character, because of course with Psycho you have this adult Norman Bates, and then you go to this younger version of Norman Bates, and you get a little bit of his background in high school and leading up to that fateful night that we see in the movie. I have two of Alfred Hitchcock's box sets. Have to get the third one that recently came out. Yes, they're all good. They're all fantastic. All right. I've talked about three so far. I've got three more to go. And the next one is a film from the wonderful Stanley Kubrick, one of my other all time favorite directors. And this is a film from 1964 that I'm going to bring up here to our attention. And is a film that deals with a very serious subject, but deals with it in a very comical way. It is the film Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb from 1964. So this is the film that stars Peter Sellers. It's from Stanley Kubrick and George C. Scott. And it is an absolutely extraordinary film. I love the cover here of the Criterion. You see here, of course, I will remove this here from the, so you can see the cover of this Criterion here. Very nice cover there. Very good stuff here. And of course, this is the inside here. But yeah, this is a phenomenal film from 1964. Stanley Kubrick's painfully funny take on Cold War anxiety is one of the fiercest satires of human folly ever to come out of Hollywood. The matchless shapeshifter Peter Sellers plays three wildly different roles. Royal Air Force Captain Lionel Mandrake, timidly trying to stop a nuclear attack on the USSR ordered by an unbalanced general, Sterling Hayden. The ineffectual and perpetually dumbfounded US President Merkin, Muffley, who must deliver the very bad news to the Soviet premier, and the titular Strangelove himself, a wheelchair-bound presidential advisor with a Nazi past. Finding improbable hilarity in nearly every unimaginable scenario, Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb, is a subversive masterpiece that officially announced Kubrick as an unparalleled stylist and pitch-black ironist. So this is an amazing film. And I must, unfortunately, I will be right back. I have to bring my amazing dog in. He is making some noise. So I'm going to have to pause things for a quick minute and bring him in. I'll be right back. So hang tight. All right. Thank you for your patience there. Had to bring Shiloh in. So he was outside making some noise there. So hope you were hanging in there with me. But yeah, Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb. What an amazing, amazing film. And my recommendation would be to, if you're watching this film, consider another Criterion edition called Failsafe. So the ironic thing is that both of these films deal with a potential nuclear conflict between the US and Russia, but they take totally different angles at it. Whereas Dr. Strangelove is largely comical, this film here from Sidney Lumet, that stars Peter Fonda and Larry Hagman, who became JR in Dallas, is a more serious take. So these are really good to watch as like a double feature, so to speak, of two films dealing with the subject matter in very different ways. So you have Dr. Strangelove and Failsafe, which, interestingly enough, they both came out the same year. So yeah, definitely consider those films. So let's see what we have here. Perkins as Norman is scary because he is so soft-spoken, sweet, and slightly effeminate. Yeah. Never expect him to snap like that. Mm-hmm. We should all fight in the war room. Gas and I almost thought it was Lolita. I had that lovely Criterion Digibook 2, was tempted to upgrade to 4K, but on the fence. Need Lolita on 4K. Yeah. There's a 4K of Strangelove I have not picked up yet. This is a lovely digipack from Criterion. See both sides. And on the inside, check that out. Nice artwork. And then you have this here, Top Secret. Good stuff. And the contents are pretty cool. Have you ever seen, look at that, Top Secret. So yeah, some really nice stuff included in this Criterion edition of Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb. You gotta love that title, don't you? Amazing title of an interesting film. And again, I would highly recommend doing a double feature of this movie and Failsafe. Those go very well together. See, Dr. Strangelove definitely needs a rewatch for me. Me too. It's been a long time since I've watched it. George C. Scott killed it in this. Same with The Hustler. I have not seen The Hustler. I need to check that film out. Okay, saying to Mika, Dr. Strangelove took me a couple of watches to get. To be honest, is a dark, twisted, and cynical film. I love it. Dr. Strangelove, way better than Oppenheimer for me. Sorry to Nolan fans. Okay. Yes, definitely one I say would do with a couple of watches. Killer cast with Sellers and Hayden. George C. Scott was a real baddie in Hardcore that I saw recently. Okay. How have I not seen Failsafe? Thanks for the recommendation. Oh, you're welcome. It's so good. Failsafe. Wow. It is so good. So sobering. It will leave you with something to think about. It'll definitely make you think for sure. I also really liked Scott in a film called The Hospital. It's from 1971. Oh, okay, cool. Haven't seen Failsafe either. Yeah. Failsafe will definitely leave you with something to think about, and you'll really have an appreciation for, when you're sitting in that Oval Office, when you're the president of the United States, you could have to make some pretty tough decisions, in that job. It's a job that's not for the faint of heart. All right. So we have 8 films down. We got 2 more to go. So let's go here. This is a film from one of my absolute favorite directors, starring some actors that I just love. And this is, of course, director Billy Wilder. And this is one of his legendary films. This film won Best Picture. It stars Jack Lemmon and Fred MacMurray and Shirley MacLaine. It is none other than The Apartment. And this film is just so good. I mean, it is so good. It's about this young man played by Jack Lemmon. He works in this office environment, and he's trying to sort of work his way up the ranks. And one of the things he does to sort of ingratiate himself with the higher ups is he lends his apartment out to some of the higher up executives for them to be able to use his apartment for some of their shall we say meetings outside the office with individuals that they have an interest in, so to speak. Basically, they can have their flings in his apartment. And so he's doing that, lending his apartment out in order to sort of, gain favor in the office. And Fred MacMurray is one of those big bosses in the office, and he's using that privilege as well. And of course, Shirley MacLaine plays the elevator operator, and they are all just phenomenal in this film. This is a film that has amazing writing. Billy Wilder's films all have some of the best writing you'll ever see in any film. If you have not seen The Apartment and you happen to have this in your collection, if this is one of the films that's in your collection that you have not seen yet, whatever you do, make this film the next film you watch. It is so good, and it stars 3 absolute legends. Fred MacMurray, who also appeared in Double Indemnity. He was a snake in Double Indemnity, and he's a snake in this movie here. Jack Lemmon, not Nicholson, Jack Lemmon playing C.C. Baxter. So good in this movie. I just can't say enough good things about this film here. Movie-wise, there has never been anything like The Apartment, love-wise, laugh-wise, or otherwise-wise. Jack Lemmon, Shirley MacLaine, Fred MacMurray, just amazing. Can't say enough good things about The Apartment. This is the Kino Lorber 4K edition of this film. It looks phenomenal. This is a black and white film from 1960. It's a Best Picture winner, and this is a wonderful edition of this amazing movie. Billy Wilder production, Academy Award for winner, Best Picture 1960. So yeah, unlock the door to The Apartment and welcome legendary director Billy Wilder, Some Like It Hot, and screenwriter I.A.L. Diamond, 1, 2, 3 at their scathing satirical best. CC Bud Baxter, Jack Lemmon, the fortune cookie, knows the way to success in business is through the door of this apartment. By providing a perfect hideaway for philandering bosses, the ambitious young employee reaps a series of undeserved promotions. But when Bud lends the key to big boss J.D. Sheldrake, Fred MacMurray, Double Indemnity. That's another one. If you have not seen Double Indemnity, in fact, I'll tell you what, here's a double feature recommendation. Watch Double Indemnity starring Fred MacMurray and then watch The Apartment. I mean, I tell you what, if you've seen Fred MacMurray in My Three Sons, this more wholesome, type character in that TV show, and then you see him playing like a snake, a low down, dirty dog in these 2 movies, I tell you what, you really will have an appreciation for his acting. He is so good in both of these movies. He not only advances his career, but his own love life as well. For Sheldrake's mistress is the lovely Fran Kubelik, played by Shirley MacLaine, elevator girl and angel of Bud's dreams. Convinced that he is the only man for Fran, Bud must make the most important executive decision of his career: lose the girl or his job. By turns heartwarming and heartbreaking. The Apartment won 5 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Screenplay. Movie-wise, there's never been anything like it, love-wise, laugh-wise, or otherwise-wise. The Apartment, watch it now. So incredible. This is one of the great films from the great, legendary Billy Wilder. I mean, what can I say? One of the great all-time films. So, love it, love it, love it, love it. Tim's favorite. Oh, you mean Tim Talks Talkies, The Apartment? Okay, I did not know that. Shirley MacLaine, great actress. Yes, she was great in this film. So good. James, I also have the Kino Lorber edition of The Apartment. Did you happen to buy the Criterion version? Any big differences? I do not have the Criterion. I didn't know that The Apartment was on Criterion. I'll have to look that up. I did not know that. But no, I only have it on the Kino, on this Kino 4K, and this Kino 4K is very nice. I mean, the film looks really good. You do get a couple of commentaries on here. You get a documentary. You don't get a ton of features, but you do get a couple of commentaries, which I think is fantastic. And of course, a documentary called Inside the Apartment. So that's good. Let's see here. Billy Wilder, another genius. Cannot believe I haven't seen this either. Although I've known about it for a while, might have to pick up that 4K. Yeah, I would definitely say I think Kino has sales. I don't know what the timing of their sales are, but definitely on the next Kino sale, if you see inventory availability on The Apartment, swipe that up. Get that on a good sale. Let's see. The Apartment doesn't have a Criterion edition. That's what I thought. But yeah, that's what I thought. I don't think that it has a Criterion edition. All right. What are y'all thinking so far? How are y'all feeling? Let me know in the comments section. Do you like this series? I did 70s Film Frenzy last year. Now I'm doing Swinging 60s Cinema, a decade of revolution on screen. Let me know what you think about this series. Let me know what you think about this edition. Should we have a part 2? What's your opinion? Let me know that in the comment section, whether you're here live or if you're catching this on a replay. I definitely want to know your thoughts. Let's see. Traveling Man. Speaking of Jack Lemmon, I hope they put out a 4K of Days of Wine and Roses. Heartbreaking movie about alcohol addiction. Classic. Okay. Wine and Roses. Okay. Cool. Jack Lemmon was an amazing performer. I mean, he could do the serious, he could do the comedy. He was a phenomenal actor. All right, we've done 9 so far, and now we got 1 to go in this edition here. And this is a film that appears in one of these beautiful big box sets here, Columbia Classics collection, and it is just an amazing film. I've given a lot of love to Sidney Poitier in this part 1, and I'm going to give him one more stand here at the back because there's another film I want to talk about here that stars him as well, and it is To Serve with Love from 1967. I happen to have this on 4K Ultra HD in this wonderful Columbia Classics volume set. I think this might be, yes, volume 3. Volume 3. Yeah, Ken, I need to look up volume 4 tonight on Amazon and check out what the prices are. But this is volume 3 of this amazing series here. And I will actually pull out the To Serve with Love. Let me see here. How do I do this? I'll do this off camera. Or actually, you know what I'll do? I'll just pull out the book. I'll just pull out this book. But you see, To Serve with Love, he's playing a teacher here, and he has some difficult students that he's dealing with in wonderful London, England. Yeah. But let me pull up To Serve with Love on page 30 of this wonderful set. And what's great about this is, check this out. These Columbia Classics volumes, they don't play. I mean, they go all out. So good. So good. But yeah, I mean, this is, it's a British drama. It's a teacher in a tough East London school who overcomes some social and racial issues to reach his very rowdy, pretty uninterested students. So check that out. Terrific film. To Serve with Love, and having it on 4K Ultra HD. Another performance from the great Sidney Poitier, and having it on 4K as part of this wonderful Columbia Classics set is an absolute treat. But let me know what you think about To Serve with Love. And of course, the theme song was sung by Lulu. She stars in the film, and was a pretty major hit at the time. Let's see. Brown Bunny says, yes, great series. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that feedback. Let us know your feedback. Okay. Love this series. James Wade picks thus far. Thank you. Thank you, Mika. I appreciate that. Yay or nay? It's a yay from me. Thank you. I appreciate that. Big yay. Another great Sidney film. Yes. Sidney Poitier is well represented here in this part one here. That book looks lovely. Didn't know it came with it. Yeah. It's pretty nice. I mean, I'm definitely, like I said a number of times, I got to check out that volume 4 on Amazon here to see what the price is. Nice box sets. Yeah, they do a great job with the Columbia Classics. Yeah, they're first class, says Traveling Man. Sad to say they're more packed with special features nowadays than Criterion has been recently. Yeah, I think that is pretty much a true statement. But yeah, so I am going to go back here and we will give a quick recap of these films that we covered here from this part one of Swingin' 60s Cinema, a decade of revolution on screen. We covered The Graduate from 1967, the Mike Nichols film starring Dustin Hoffman, and of course, Catherine Ross here, and the legendary Anne Bancroft. Wonderful film. Easy Rider from 1969. Great film. Peter Fonda, Dennis Hopper, Jack Nicholson. Blowup, the film that inspired Blowout from 1981, 15 years earlier. Blowup came out in 1966, starring David Hemmings and Vanessa Redgrave. Great film. Midnight Cowboy, starring Jon Voight and Dustin Hoffman again in this amazing film. The first X-rated or NC-17 film to win Best Picture. 1969's Midnight Cowboy. Guess Who's Coming to Dinner? 1967, starring 3 Academy Award winners, Sidney Poitier, Katharine Hepburn, and Spencer Tracy. And of course, introducing Catherine Houghton in this film that has a lot to say, social commentary, dealing with an area that was considered controversial at the time, but it's a groundbreaking film that stands the test of time. Sidney Poitier again in The Heat of the Night from 1967. This wonderful film starring him and Rod Steiger. Rod Steiger won an Academy Award for his performance. This film won Best Picture. This film inspired the TV series starring Carol O'Connor from that ran, I think, in the 1980s. Just an amazing film. Psycho, one of my favorite films of all time, from my favorite director of all time, Alfred Hitchcock, starring Anthony Perkins in one of the all-time great films. I mean, it spawned some amazing sequels that came out in the 1980s. I think Anthony Perkins actually directed one of those sequels. And I recommend all those sequels to Psycho. And I also recommend Bates Motel. So definitely check out that TV series. I have all 5 seasons on Blu-ray, and they are phenomenal. Stanley Kubrick. We got some Kubrick in here with Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb from 1964. In this same year, Failsafe came out, the Sidney Lumet film that deals with a similar subject matter of a nuclear conflict between the United States and Russia. But both of these films kind of give you the comical side and the serious side. So they're a great companion piece to watch together. And then, of course, we have The Apartment here This amazing film from Billy Wilder, who also gave us Double Indemnity, which has a 4K from Criterion that I highly recommend picking that up. Billy Wilder is one of the great all-time directors. He gave us, of course, Double Indemnity, The Apartment, Sunset Boulevard, which when are we getting a 4K of Sunset Boulevard? Does anyone know out there? Definitely want to get that on 4K at some point. But this is The Apartment. This stars Fred MacMurray, Jack Lemmon, Shirley MacLaine. Great film. This won Best Picture as well. And then we concluded with To Serve With Love from 1967, starring Sidney Poitier. Again, this is the third film with Sidney Poitier that I covered in this part one of Swinging 60s Cinema. And this is a really good film starring Mr. Poitier. So yeah, so those are the 10 films that we covered in this part one of Swinging 60s Cinema, A Decade of Revolution on Film. And definitely looking forward to coming back in the month of June to do part two. But let me know in the comment section below what you think about this. And, what your thoughts are. And how do you feel about these films? And what are some films that you would include if you were to do a 60s, type of a thing like this? What are some films that you would include in this superb list, says Mika? Thank you. I appreciate that. Agreed, says Brown Bunny. Good to know that. And then recently watched the Criterion edition of Visconti's The Dam from 1969. That's a good one too. That's a really good edition from Criterion. And I am still shook. Can't believe that film was made. Yeah, it is. Man, that is quite the movie. Traveling Man says, James, great video. Looking forward to the next. I like Midnight Cowboy, but not sure if it was Best Picture worthy. For Best Picture, I want to see a Lawrence of Arabia next level film. That's a good point. Good point. Maybe we can include some foreign films from the 60s in part two. That's a good call out. Okay, now I believe Blowup might be the one foreign film there. Let's see, an internet user, 100%. Night of the Living Dead makes my list. Yes, that's a good one. And Mika says, can't wait for part two. I'm looking forward to it as well. But again, I want to say thank you all for joining tonight. Hope you enjoyed this live stream. Hope you enjoyed this on a replay if you happen to be watching it. I'll probably go into the YouTube studio and kind of trim out that little interlude there where I had to go bring Shiloh in. I might trim that out, or I may leave it in there. Who knows? But I hope you all have a great rest of your night. I'm going to finish up this little tub of popcorn, and then I'm going to go to bed in a little bit, get ready to celebrate Mother's Day with the mother of my child, my beautiful wife, tomorrow. And of course, had a chance to see my mother today. But happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers out there everywhere. Hope that you have a great Mother's Day tomorrow and a great Mother's Day weekend. And we thank you for everything that you do and everything that you are. So God bless you all. Hope you all have a wonderful night, and we'll look to see you next time at the movies. Peace.